Alright, yeah, welcome back to some more Magic Duels. This week we're going to be looking at our new deck, the Grixis Brain in the Jar deck. It utilises Rise from the Tides and Brain with the Jar, and essentially gets out expensive cards super cheap and super quick. Without further ado though, let's get into the game, shall we? And we are in. Okay, so, looking at our hand, I don't see a single thing wrong with this. So we'll just keep it. Our opponent is Combo Killer, rank 23. Little does he know that we too are a combo killer. So we're going to lead on with a Smouldering Marsh because it's the only one that comes in tapped. And it will continue to come in tapped unless we get lucky and draw lands. But I kind of really don't want to draw lands. I'd prefer to get some cheap spells that I can use Brain in the Jar with and get some decent value out. So now we do have Fiery Impulse up, but I am going to drop it down to put Brain in the Jar down. Next turn, we could either play our Sulphur Falls and hold up Fiery Impulse, or we can Pieces the Puzzle and see what we do. What is our opponent going to do? That is the question. An Evolving Wild, so he is a multicoloured deck. He's not going to tell us which colour though. Drownyard Temple. Okay. So, do we want to put a counter on Brain in the Jar? Or do we want to just Pieces the Puzzle? We do have our combo together. These two together essentially mean that your opponent can't deal with your end goal, which is fantastic, I have to say. Yeah, let's Pieces the Puzzle. And now that we've tapped out, he's going to go find a red. So he is Gruul. Maybe more colours. Let's get Pour of the Pages and Rise from the Tides. There are a few issues with this deck. I did go into detail into them in the deck tech. So, essentially, the cliff notes are that there are a few bugged cards in here that won't actually still work, but not in the way that they ultimately are intended to do. Nagging Thoughts. Nice. So we're going to play a Drownyard Temple. We're going to Nagging Thoughts. He's going to crack his Evolving Wilds and get third land? Third colour, should I say? No, so he's green-red. He must be. We're going to go get... We're on 4 lands. We want to be on 5, so I'm going to take the Swamp. Drop the Fiery Impulse into the graveyard. And then we'll leave Brain in the Jar until the end step. Use it to Fiery Impulse just for giggles. Oh, he is blue. Interesting. I don't actually know what he's doing. Okay, so our opponent's not going to play anything, so we are going to put a counter on the Brain in the Jar. But we are not going to cast Fiery Impulse. No reason to. And we also can't, technically. Sulphur Falls, that's nice. So, Sulphur Falls, we're going to Pour of the Pages, which allows us to untap 2 lands. Which means we can still Brain in the Jar. Sulphur Falls and an island, I think. We've played our land for the turn, so we don't want to discard Nagging Thoughts because we can't cast it. I'm going to go with Geist Blast because it has its advantages even in the graveyard. We can Nagging Thoughts off the Brain in the Jar though, so that's likely what we're going to do, which means we can also hold up Fiery Impulse. So we're now getting discounts on our spells. I'm a little worried about his green, just in case he's running Reclamation Sage. It's a bit annoying against Brain in the Jar, but it's not the end of the game. We do win once we've got to 12 mana, just straight up. As long as we've got sufficient instants and sorceries in a graveyard, which we likely will by that point. Let's take the land. As I mentioned before, we want to fill our deck with instants and sorceries. Our graveyard, sorry. So now we can Brain in the Jar with the Grip of the Royal. And is there any reason to not play tap land? No, not really. Just play a Wandering Fumarole and pass the turn back. Our opponent's not done much, which is a little bit disappointing. I would have liked a fair battle. But if he doesn't do something soon, he's going to find that he's going to get overwhelmed with zombies. So currently in our graveyard, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 instants and sorceries, which makes 7 2/2s. So we've practically got... Ooh, he's Brain in the Jar as well. We've practically got lethal in our graveyard now. So I'm going to put charge counter on it. Say yes, but we won't cast it. You can't cast with alternate costs as well, by the way, if you were ever wondering. We do have Rise from the Tides online, but we want to be on 6 mana and have the 6th Brain in the Jar counter to go down. That's the way we're going to win. Which allows us to not enable him to instant speed remove anything, or sorcery speed, should I say. So, Languish, Planar Outburst, and all that stuff is completely negated because we can do it at instant speed. So the downside of this card is that the zombies come in tapped, so they usually have a turn to react to it, but the way our deck works is that we don't allow them that turn to react through the Brain in the Jar, or part the Water Veil for the extra turn to allow us to untap before his turn. Okay, so he's going to Nissa. We are going to blow that up. Like so. He does get his land, but that's all he's going to get. If he plays another creature, then we can Grip of the Royal. Which he's not, so we're going to put another counter on Brain in the Jar. And we have no 4-drop, so nothing's going to happen there. Nagging Thoughts, that's nice. We are going to Evolving Wilds first. Let's thin our deck. We don't want to hit a land with this. Nagging Thoughts. Hit a Pour over the pages. Have we got 5 mana up? We do. Okay, so we are going to Pour over the pages. And further fill our graveyard. Untapping Sulphur Falls and Sulphur Falls. And discard Displacement Wave. I haven't seen any reason to use it. He's going to tap his Brain in the Jar with 2 counters. Has he got anything to cast? No, he hasn't. So we win on his end step next turn if he doesn't do anything about our combo. We have lethal in the graveyard now. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. 13 2/2s are going to be entering the battlefield on his end step if he doesn't remove them. Okay, that's a 4/4. Looks like that's all he's got. So we're going to put a charge counter down. Takes us up to 5. We have no 5-drop. We did play the Pour over the pages. Languish. Languish is in here as well, because if you hit 4 on Brain in the Jar, you can Languish at instant speed, which is brutal for our opponent. I don't think our opponent has that same advantage, though. Right, okay, so... Actually, we can win right now. So, we Sunken Hollow. We Brain in the Jar. Yes. We want to Rise from the Tides. Does our opponent have a response? He does not. We're going to take an extra turn. Oh dear. It can't be a Radiant Flames because he's not paying any colours to cast it. So it'd be Radiant Flames for 0. So what's he got? Yeah, it's Radiant Flames for 0. So we still win. And for giggles, we're going to tap his creature. And draw a card. And then we're going to swing in with our 13 2/2s for the victory. In we go. I think we do have Radiant Flames in here, but we are entirely aware that you shouldn't do that. Okay, on to the next game. Welcome back to some more Brain in the Jar. This hand isn't great. I'm inclined to throw it back, but we do have a nagging thought, so we are going to be able to dig a little deeper into our deck. And hopefully on the next draw, we get something decent out of it. It's a little bit of a risky keep, but we're going with it. Our opponent is Mr. Big Stick, rank 28. Let's see how big his stick is. Not as big as ours. We do have Pieces of the Puzzle, which is a nice play for the next turn. With the Nagging Thoughts, I think we're going to take Paw of the Pages. We can't cast it for a while, but I'd like to fill our hands with some decent stuff. Our opponent is on red-green currently. Has he got any other colours to play? No. And it is coming in untapped. Oh yeah, synergy. Okay, so our opponent had nothing to do there. I'm going to play an island, because Sunken Hollow comes in tapped, and Pieces of the Puzzle, and hopefully fill our hand with some more instants and sorceries. Or sorceries in this case, because Pieces of the Puzzle is bugged currently. Once it's unbugged, then this deck gets a whole lot better. Okay. So actually, we're going to take Rise from the Tides and Pieces of the Puzzle. And we can Pieces of the Puzzle again next turn, and further fill up our graveyard for Rising the Tides. And the more we fill it up as well, the more useful these Possessed Scabs become, because now we've got a Possessed Scab that can pull out digging cards, card draw cards, and more digging cards. Another Pieces of the Puzzle. This is fantastic. Right, Sunken Hollow now comes in untapped, so we're going to play it. Pieces of the Puzzle. You may get to see why this deck struggles so much against mill decks, because it does a whole lot of self-milling. And hopefully they actually implement self-milling into Magic Duels. Since there's no cards that shuffle your graveyard back in, mill is such a strong thing. I'm not sure what to get rid of here. I guess of Pieces of the Puzzle. We're just looking for either a Brain in the Jar or take an extra turn card, part of the Water Veil. So our opponent's going to gain a bit of life with his Jaddy Offshoot. Actually playing white mana. Still don't know what our opponent's deck is all about. He hasn't really shown us anything, to be fair, so not much ways of finding out. So we could play Paw of the Pages and hopefully hit a 2-drop. If we hit a Brain in the Jar, that'd be fantastic, so I think that's what we'll do. We did not hit a Brain in the Jar, so we're going to untap our Sunken Hollow and our island and discard Geist Blast. Geist Blast has use in our graveyard, whereas the rest of the cards don't. So it's usually the first thing to throw away, unless you've got something to burn it on. And the Jaddy Offshoot survives that, so we shan't be doing that. We're going to hold on to the Displacement Wave for now. Languish, I feel like he's going to be ramping into something, so it might not be too useful, but we're going to keep it around for a little while. Suppose I'll just throw away a Possessed Scab. That might be a bad play. But we aren't being punished for doing anything so far. So I'm inclined to just see what our opponent does. And black mana. So this might be a Converge deck. Or it might just be a good stuff deck. Just get all the best cards from all the colours. A From Beyond implies that he's got Eldrazi in there, so we're going to have to work against the clock. Think we'll throw down Jace. Because Jace is going to start getting his card advantage, and if we can ultimate him, then especially against ramp decks where you're casting one expensive card per turn, I think we've got a really good setup. So we put Fiery Impulse to the bottom and got another Fiery Impulse. So I'm glad we scried it to the bottom, because this doesn't seem like the kind of matchup where burn matters. The Scions are going to prove to be... Ooh, is it Superfriends then? Sorin can kill our Jace if it wants to. Somehow I doubt it. That's Ulamog, so we're going to lose 10 life. Ugh. Okay. It's not what we wanted to see. I'm going to plus Jace again. Geist Blast. With Geist Blast we can attack Sorin, and Sorin can't kill our Jace. Or maybe we allow him to kill our Jace and then we Geist Blast it to finish it off. Well, either way, we can pieces the puzzle, because Geist Blast is going to be in our hand and playable anyway. So our opponent gets to see what we drew first. Nonsensical, but I'll go with it. Rise from the Tides and Radiant Flames. Let's grab the Radiant Flames. We'll leave the Rise from the Tides just as an extra card in our graveyard. I'm a little worried about how this game's going. So we're on 10 life now, so whatever Sorin takes off the top is bad for us. The higher cost, the worse it gets. There's nothing much that's higher than Ulamog though, so we're not worried about just straight up dying. I'm going to throw the Fiery Impulse away. He's only got 6 mana in total, if you include the Scion. He could... No, he couldn't. No, he could. He could sack the From Beyond and get Thought Not Seer, which could then grab a nice card from the deck. Doesn't look like he's going to do that. An Arling Cord. This is Superfriends with a ramp aspect to it. We're on 6 life, so we need to get rid of that Sorin fast. And we don't really have any Planeswalker removal, unfortunately. Is there any reason? No, you can't. Hang on. You are giving it +2/+2 and Vigilance, so we're going to burn it. Because we can. We're in a bit of a rushed situation here, so we might have to throw Rise from the Tides down. Which may... That's nice. Disperse gets rid of Planeswalkers for us. Let's first plus Jace. Languish. Can we look at things? Yeah. So you can give anything haste. Let's put that to the bottom. That's what we were looking for. Part the Water Veil is fantastic. We'll 1 land off Part the Water Veil with Geist Blast. Copy. So we just need to survive the turn. It's risky to keep Sorin around, because if he hits anything with 6 or higher, we're dead. So maybe we want to disperse it away and then play down a Possessed Scab. Yeah, let's do that. Possessed Scab. In fact, we'll disperse now. The Possessed Scab can get us our disperse back to slow him down. Is there anything else we wanted? No. So yeah. We can slow him down ever so slightly with the other disperse. Next turn, we can ultimate Jace, which counters the first thing he casts every turn. It's the first time I've ultimated Jace, actually, so hopefully we get a chance to do it. Kinda wish I had a Fiery Impulse now, so I could blow away whatever he did. Right. His Sorin comes down. Plus his Sorin, do we die? We are at 1 life. We need to get that Sorin off the battlefield and make sure it never comes back. Arlen's going to make a 2-2. Right, we need to win now. And I'm not sure if we can. We can certainly part the Water Veil if we hit a land, I think. That's a Fiery Impulse. Right. We needed to hit a land in order to part the Water Veil twice. So if we plus Jace and we get a land, then we part the Water Veil, copy it, take 2 extra turns after this one, and then we get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 2-2s. If we hit a land with Jace, we can win. That is not a land. That is not a land. Have we just lost? Because Sorin can't be allowed to do anything. Anything at all. Which means we should have ultimated Jace. But then... Well, we're going to have to part the Water Veil. Gonna have to. I don't see there being any other way around this. And then we might as well displacement wave for 0. Bounce these tokens. Kill his offshoot. Yeah. See, we can't take extra turns anymore. Nagging thoughts. Ultimate Jace. Disperse his Sorin. 4, 5, 6. And rise from the tides. So now he has to either play his Sorin and hope he doesn't hit a land, or, and that's after he gets his first spell countered, or he plays something before to get it countered and then mass removes us. Can he do either of those things? Declaration in Stone. That gets countered. Twin Bolt. Oh. So close. Well, that's going to do it for this episode. If you enjoyed what you saw, be sure to leave a like. If you loved it, be sure to subscribe. And if you're not quite sure, stay for the end card, see the rest of the content we've got to offer, including the deck tech if you enjoyed the deck. But as always, I will see you tomorrow. See you later. Goodbye.